2021 just got better. Your favorite shows from WLFE-DB Radio can now be found on Facebook Live and "2021 just got better." Your favorite shows from WLFE-DB Radio can now be found on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Yes, we now video stream to both of those platforms. Search for your favorite shows like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Paratalk Radio, Step into the Paranormal, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and more. Now you won't miss an episode. Remember, follow Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Make sure you subscribe and follow your favorite WLFE-DB radio shows. This award-winning thriller has it all. Murder, political intrigue, mob revenge, and a bit of romance. Not to mention strong female and male characters with a storyline that could be tomorrow's headline news. Now for a quick peek into our story. To help solving a nationwide plot involving the assassination of several U.S. senators, the O'Rourke team is called in. To complicate matters, they now have to work against the clock to rescue one of their own. You see, the mob didn't take too kindly to the O'Rourke team's involvement last spring. It seems to have led to the indictment of their boss. Will they succeed? Oh yeah, life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam! There you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com. You're listening to WLFE-DB Radio. Now back to our program. You're listening to WLFE Digital Broadcast Radio in Ontario, New York. Real Talk with Dom. It's a new spin on variety. Dom's created a show that puts his guests in the spotlight. Whether you're a musician, a poet, wrestler, or merch creator, he gives you the opportunity to promote you. Real Talk with Dom is a real no-nonsense show. Don is down-to-earth, critically truthful, and real as it gets. So if you're looking for a standalone, think-outside-the-box kind of a show, then Real Talk with Dom is a show for you. Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern.
What's happening, my friends? Welcome to a Monday night Eastern Time with Genevieve and I. We are here. We are now. Special show tonight. We dive back into paranormal, Genevieve.
I am so excited about this show.
I understand, yes. Myself too. Before we bring a guest in, let's talk about how we kind of started with this.
I think that's why I'm really excited about this, because the paranormal is something that we both have in common. And I think that that's the thing that really introduced us to each other. So I'm really excited about it.
We started, just under a year ago with your idea, the haunted happy hour and things like that. Yeah. And I was like, my God.
Yeah, you just randomly showed up on a ghost tour, didn't you?
Yeah, because I said my aunt was the one, and you guys will meet them tomorrow night on the Creepy Parlor.
On the Creepy Parlor, yes.
Yeah. At what time, Genevieve?
7 p.m. Eastern.
7 p.m.
WLFE-DB.com.
-DB.
-DB. I know, I always forget that part.
It's one of these things where it's like, I I literally had nothing to do that night, and myself having nothing to do that night was one of the best things that ever happened in my life, because I've met some of the best people in my life, including
We really do have a great group, don't we?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yep. And the thing I love about it too is that we all came together for this. Like, we have this common interest, right? That brings us together, but it's grown into talking about everything really, and helped us get through a lot of the isolation that's going on right now. So it's just, it's interesting how those things develop.
It's true right there. And when you first started the happy hours, you didn't know I was a ghost hunter, and I didn't know that you were not a ghost hunter. You are you do the history of things. So that's why our guest tonight is going to be amazing. Like, because you and I could bounce off each other, and we could go back and forth of asking different questions. And I know her personally, so it's like, it's a little bit unfair, but however, though, she's like super chill. Like, I'm telling you, she is awesome. But, at the same time, Genevieve, it's like, we got a group together, you personally, and then like, as we all did this and we got shows and stuff like that, we got a group together that we made things possible that we never really seen that we would ever be able to do. You brought my
I mean, it's expanded our creativity personally and together exponentially.
Really, yes, and that's why I appreciate you, Genevieve. So you know that,
and I appreciate you
indeed, and the entire group, as far as what we do, as far as the Haunted Happy Hour, and then everyone who jumps on. There's a lot of comments already, which is cool. Tom Nally's there. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'll get to Tom Nally in a moment, brother. I see you.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Chanel.
Chanel's there. I see it. Genevieve, we have a really cool guest tonight. This woman owns with sisters and stuff like that. It's Soul Sisters Paranormal. And they travel the world, and they do a lot of cool stuff. What do you think? Without further ado?
Oh, absolutely. Get her on.
Let's do this. My friends to the world, we are here, we are now. Soul Sisters Paranormal. Bada bing, bada boom.
Hey, everybody.
What's up?
Hi, Christy.
How are you?
Hey, Dom. Hey, Genevieve. I'm great. How y'all doing tonight?
We are chilling.
So far, so good.
Yep.
Good. See, Dom, bring in the New Jersey. I'll bring in the Southern, y'all.
I love it.
And I'll just try to stay neutral.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you both for having me here tonight.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You and I started probably a year or so back when I wanted to do a TV show, things like that. And we had mutual friends within TV production that contacted us. So you and I had lunch together, and
we did.
I noticed your entire structure, like you were on point with what you do. So I know everything we talk about is solid. Let's just bring into the conversation of how Soul Sisters Paranormal started.
Yeah, absolutely. So my sisters and I, we all live in different parts of the country. And so we routinely take girls trips. We meet up in different cities and towns and just really just want to get together on weekends to just enjoy each other's company. So in 2013, we decided to go to Moundsville, West Virginia, which is where the Moundsville Penitentiary is located. And we had a friend of the family who sat on the board of the Moundsville, West Virginia prison there. And he said, I know you guys are going to be in Moundsville. Why don't you take one of those nights and stay the night in the prison and see if you can find anything? And we've always had a fascination with the paranormal. So we decided, let's take them up on this offer. So we went ahead and stayed the night in the prison, and we had a couple of digital voice recorders, a couple of digital cameras, but we left that experience with such what we felt was compelling evidence that we really decided to formalize Soul Sisters Paranormal and just go around the country to these historic and haunted locations and see if we can find some paranormal activity.
So you're essentially living my dream.
I get that a lot, actually. So it is a lot of fun, and be able to do it with my sisters who are my best friends, that's just the icing on the cake, to go to these historical locations that not a lot of people have the opportunity to visit, and to really have that experience with history, that tactile experience with history. To us, it's just fascinating. And then when we can bring in the paranormal element, and couple that with the historical narrative, that to us is just, a phenomenal way to spend a weekend.
I think that's really, really cool too, because I'm a ghost storyteller, and a lot of the things that I love about doing that is that we really keep the history of an area alive, and people will forget the history, but if you tie that ghost into it, they'll remember it.
Absolutely. Yep. You are absolutely right. And, again, for us to be able to tell that narrative of places that a lot of people may not know about, it's funny, Dom, and you and I were speaking off camera about the Ma Barker House, which is in Central Florida. And this was a location that was in the spotlight in 1935, the national spotlight for months. And it's just intriguing to me that nobody really knew that it was there until after we completed a paranormal investigation there. And then all of a sudden, now everybody knows about the Ma Barker House. And so for us to be able to bring that to the spotlight, to me, is really what we're about and what we do.
Yeah. And we also have a friend talking about that tonight on his show, Michael Aubrey, Doomsday. So yeah, it's kind of crazy how that all kind of happened. Ma Barker, yeah, the Ma Barker house is nothing but about 11 minutes from where I stay. And then I watched it go across the Lake Weir. You understand that? I watched it on TV.
Did they move it?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. The water on
I love when they do that.
So just a brief background, Dom, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So this was a house. It was built in 1932, and in 1934, Ma Barker and one of her sons, Fred Barker, who are two members of the Barker Carpus gang, they were on the run from J. Edgar Hoover, and so they rented this house under the name of T.C. Blackburn. They rented this house on Lake Weir, and the FBI tracked them to this location. And on January 16th, 1935, a shootout between Ma and Fred Barker and the FBI ensued at this house, and it culminated with Ma and Fred being killed inside the house. And the owners at the time actually had the presence of mind to preserve the inside of the house exactly as it was in 1935. So when you walk in now, there's bullet holes in the wall, there's bullet holes in the furniture, the sconces are original, the floors, the doors, everything is original. But in 2016, the family decided to sell the home. They decided to sell the land, and the new owners did not want the house. They were going to destroy the house. And so Marion County, Florida said, let us take it. We'll take the house. And so they put it on a barge and they floated it across Lake Weir to another location, which is about 2.5 miles away. And so after they moved it, we did an investigation there, and it was fantastic.
What is that? I can't remember off the top of my head, because I filmed there with, our friend Wayne and stuff like that. I can't remember where it's at. What is that?
It's called Carney Island.
Carney Island. It's right there in Carney Island. I haven't got to visit it yet, but yeah, I know where it originally was, and then the Carney Island is right there. I have not got to visit its new location, but I watched it go across the lake. So
it's like on an island in the lake.
Well, it's an island that it's actually a peninsula, and it divides Little Lake Weir and Big Lake Weir. So it's just a peninsula that juts out, and it's like the delineation mark between Big and Little Lake Weir. And it's fascinating again because, as I said, once they moved it in 2016, it's sitting there vacant because they need to raise the funds to really bring it back to what they want to do. So it's sitting vacant. There's no power to it. There's no water to it. There's no roads to it. You need a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get back into the Florida sand to get to it. And so when we did the investigation in 2019, it was one of those investigations that was so phenomenal because we had complete control of the environment. I know that there's no noise pollution. I know that there's no light pollution. I know that there's no electricity in the house. And so for us, it really was that perfect example of, what I can call a perfect investigation, because I know that there was no outside influences during that time.
Yeah. You have a lot of comments in here right now.
Yeah, I wish I could post them.
Yeah, no, it's. I'm gonna start doing that. I have Christopher Storm. I keep saying Christopher Stormbringer one of my homies from college saying, "What's up? What's new? What's going on?"
I just have to say, my sister posted that she has a sister who's her best friend too.
Oh, there you go. Shout out to the sisters.
Yeah.
Christy, I appreciate you too, because when we talked about like doing my show, it was one of those things that you guys have a foundation as far as how you guys work. You guys, how did you come up with that? And as sisters, what made you want to do that? Like, honestly.
Well, we're always very close, and my one sister is my twin. So I mean, you don't get much closer than that. So it's my twin sister, and then our younger sister, who is 7 years younger than us. So we actually helped raise her. So she actually has like 3 moms, and so that really contributed to the closeness that we have, all 3 of us. And so when we do these investigations, and then we have 2 family friends that will accompany us on some of these investigations, which rounds out our 5 of Soul Sisters. But when we go to these investigations, we really just do fall into a collaboration that is just really seamless. We go in with the mindset. First of all, when we go into an investigation, we'll always take a day tour first, because we want to see what it looks like in the light before we go into the nighttime investigation. So we'll really take copious notes on different things that could affect the investigation that night. And so we really do play off each other in terms of where we're going to set this camera, where we're going to set this voice recorder. And so that really does help during the investigation as well. And then we just, again, fall into this routine of kind of who takes the lead that night, or if one of us is feeling something and another one isn't, that the one that's feeling something will take the lead. And it really is a really great unity, if you will, within our team, because we can do that pretty seamlessly.
Yeah. So are any of you psychic or sensitive?
No, I wouldn't call us sensitive. I think we're empathic just because we're an all-female team. And I think because we're females, I think that's an innate characteristic of being females. But I wouldn't call us empaths per se. I do think that Jenny and I have a different bond than a lot of siblings do, because we are twins. And so I can say that when we go into an investigation together, we can just kind of look at each other and know what the other one's thinking. But again, I wouldn't call us empathic, but just really in tune with each other.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
I will sometimes say the same thing at the same time.
It's so cool, because like when you say you're not empathic and stuff like that, like when I had lunch with you, you're just so driven as far as going to these locations, because when we talk, like I could see it in your eyes, I could hear it in your voice with the conversations. Not that I call 100 times a day, right, Genevieve? but it's just there in you that you love to do this, and that's amazing, and that's what keeps us all going. So I can't wait into, like, we're going to talk later about what you have in the future. But yeah, Genevieve, on the list here, let's start going into some things that you've done, and let's start talking about this
real quick though. See, sure. Jillian, that's it, Genevieve. We're taking the show on the road.
Jillian, stop your shit. Is it parental advisory or whatever? All right, so let's talk about things, because I know Genevieve has some questions about a certain location. I'm going to go to it. Genevieve, while I find it again, I
do have a few general questions.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite place that you visited, like some place that you were just kind of like drawn to?
I answer that in 2 ways. The first one, for the historical perspective, I really feel drawn to Fort Mifflin, and that's in Philadelphia, simply for that historical factor. This was such an amazing location. It played such a significant role in the Revolutionary War, and the band of revolutionaries that fought there did just an amazing job of holding off the entire British Armada so that George Washington could get his army away from Philadelphia. So just for the historical factor, Fort Mifflin for me is number one. For paranormal activity, I always lean towards the old Gilchrist County Jail. This is in Trenton, Florida, which is about an hour west of Gainesville. And it's just a small county jail. It was built in 1928 and it was in operation until 1968, after which it sat vacant for a couple decades. And this location, to me, was one of those locations that it just was, again, a perfect investigation for us. And the first time I investigated there, it was a collaboration between myself and Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations. She and I were the only two females. We were the only two people in the building because we wanted to do something a little different for this investigation. So she and I were the only two people in that location for the duration of the night. And it just seemed like every piece of equipment that we had running that night was validating every other piece of equipment. And so, we're catching EVPs, we're seeing shadow figures. Miranda uses dowsing rods, so her dowsing rods were going off. We are capturing things on the REM pod. So everything was just a great investigation for us that night.
Well, explain some of that, because you're going into equipment right now, and I think that's important for people who want to tune in, who don't understand what's going on. Explain some of the equipment that you guys use and why you use it. Because I know the dowsing rods and the REM pods and stuff like that, but like, why do you guys do that? And what is your favorite? What is some of your favorite equipment to use, and what's the go-to?
Okay. You muffled there just a little bit, but I think I understand the gist of the question. So for us, no worries. It may be on my end as well. For us, the voice recorders are the best piece of equipment that we use during these investigations, because I feel that EVPs are the best form of what I feel is paranormal activity. It's one of those that, if I'm in a location and I know that there's 5 females in this location, yet I'm capturing a male.
Oh, no.
No, she's fine. She'll come back in. You know that.
Yeah. It's the
We're
ghost.
good. There's a little bit going on, and here she is already. We are good. We said everything is going to be okay, and here we are. Back into it. You're fine, my friend. Let's get back into it. You're fine. Don't even worry about that.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yep, we're good.
All right, I am sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Trust
We
me.
just blame the ghost, Christy. It's fine.
Yep.
It's just the ghost.
Okay.
Things happen. You're good.
Well, all right, so I'll try to jump back into the question there, Dom. For us, the voice recorders are the best piece of equipment that we use during our investigations. I think because EVPs, for me, are the truest form of what I consider paranormal activity, or things that I really can't explain. And can y'all still hear me?
Yes. And Christy, I 100% agree with you on EVP with that.
Okay. Okay, there you are. Okay. So then aside from that, we also use the REM pod and K2 meters, which are designed to measure electromagnetic energy in a location. And we find those fascinating because a lot of the locations that we go into, they don't have power in them. And so when you have these things that are designed to measure power, and they're alarming, and there's no power there, that's extremely compelling to us. And then we'll use night vision video cameras. We're very big on trigger items. So we'll take trigger items that are germane to the location or to the events that are said to have occurred in that location. So we'll use that. And so really those are the main pieces of equipment that we really rely on. We use the spirit box to some extent. I know a lot of people don't like that tool, but for us, we've gotten some amazing evidence on the spirit box. So that's one that we will absolutely pull out of our arsenal on these locations as well.
EVP, spirit box, trigger items, and a Ouija board. I love
the EVPs. Absolutely love them.
One. I mean, you and I do this, I do it kind of for fun. You do it because you have an establishment, but I'm telling you, EVP is the one where it's like you go back and listen. I've got kids and shit like that on recorders, and I'm like,
So
whoa,
scary.
this is what's up. You know what I mean? Like, EVP is the way to go. And people have to, you could do it on your phone, as far as the, getting a recording going. Like, it's so simple.
On my podcast.
And again,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. What was that, Genevieve?
I was just saying, on my show a couple weeks ago, I had a psychic on, and you can almost hear like an EVP coming through as she was talking. it was really cool.
And that is definitely possible. Again, it is very cool for us. Like I said, when we're capturing males' voices or children's voices, or voices of females that we know aren't us, it is extremely compelling evidence.
Well, Christy, here's something for you right now.
I'm sorry?
You ladies rock to check the screen. She's gone again. A little bit of technical difficulties, but that's all right. So let's play with some people real quick. We have Farmer here until she jumps back in. There she goes. That's fine. We'll be all right. We have our friend Farmer here. What's up, Farmer? Christy, you're doing it's okay. I understand things like that happen, but we'll get through the entire episode. So Chanel says no boards, but everything else, yes.
We don't use Ouija boards either.
Yeah. I'm
is that just a personal preference, or is there some kind of like apprehension about the Ouija boards?
Okay, y'all there?
Yeah, can you hear Genevieve? Genevieve asked you a question just now.
I was just asking if can you hear me?
All right, let's get her on point real quick. We're fine. Christy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna try this other connection. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think it's the storm that's coming in. I am so sorry.
No, you're fine with us, my friend. All right, so across the bottom of the screen is how you could find Soul Sisters Paranormal. They travel all over the country, and you could find them on YouTube and stuff like that. You could check out their videos. So technical difficulties do come into play sometimes, so that's okay. But yeah, if you want to check out some really cool videos of their structure and how they work, down at the bottom is how you find them, and that's for sure. Now, what's really cool about this is that being a paranormal show with authors and stuff like that, Ted Van Son, Think Outside the Paranormal Box and stuff like that, has books about the equipment and stuff like that. So you can check that out. Actually, I think I have a banner about it. Check out my books, things like that, blah, blah, blah. It's somewhere in there. Well, that's my books. But anyway, Ted Van Son, check out his books. And they talk about ghost hunting equipment and stuff like that. Christy, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
All right, I think we're good to go here. Fingers crossed this holds.
Awesome. Fingers crossed. All right, so just in case it doesn't, and let's not beat around the bush. What does the future hold for Soul Sisters Paranormal? Let's see where you're going from here.
We've got several investigations lined up, and really for us, as I said before, just going to these historic locations and having that experience with those historic places is for us our goal. When we first started this, it was never about really going anything or doing anything grand. We first started doing these videos because my family kept asking, what's it like at these investigations? What are you feeling? What are you seeing? And so we just started, producing these videos, and, lo and behold, people started liking them. And I really appreciate all of the support from the people that we've had watch our videos and really give us some positive feedback on it. But, for us, just to have these experiences, that's really why we're doing this. If it turns into something else, that's fantastic. But as long as we can keep doing what we're doing and going to some cool locations and taking our audience along with us, that's our goal, really.
I love it.
That's a great goal.
since we're going to be on TV, I just want to share this real quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ted, she said it to you. No one cares about your book.
She did not say it to Teddy. You know exactly who she said that to. There's a little rivalry going on between my sister and Dom.
I love Jillian. She's awesome. They're all family to me. So, all right. So that's, we've got a lot ahead here as far as like, all right. So I've got a lot of questions for you too.
I do too.
As far as, let's go into the hunt itself. Don't you dare get
So
me in
kind of like
trouble.
how we set it up, or
I know. No, well, yes, you could go into how you set it up, but I actually want to know deeper into it. Have you ever dealt
Okay.
within like something purely evil and things like that? Have you ever been like not wanting to go into a spot and things like that? Like,
No, not really, not for us. The way we approach our investigations is first from a very healthy skepticism standpoint. You know, we go into these locations and really decide if we want to kind of try to debunk some of the things that are going on, see if we can prove it. We really want to try to find that other explanation if we can. We all have a research background, so we all come from an academia background. I have a PhD, my twin has a PhD, we've got 2 JDs and a master's holder on the team. So in order for us to actually go into these locations, it's one of really scientific study, if you will, when we go into these locations. And
Yeah,
so
you're really
we kind of put that to
language.
so we really try to put that to use. And so, like I said before, we'll go in and we'll do a day tour first and really look for environmental factors that could be influencing what people are seeing. Again, noise pollution, light pollution, are there trains nearby, airline traffic, dogs in the neighborhood, something like that. Those are the things we'll look for. And then after that, once we do the investigation and we control for all of those things, what we're left with is what we call unexplained. You know, very rarely will I say, yes, this place is haunted. I say that this is unexplained because for me, if somebody can come behind me and explain it, then I want to have that dialogue. But for us, we'll call it unexplained. And so that's really when we go, that's how we go into these investigations. And so to your question, Dom, we really don't go in looking for anything demonic. We don't go in and look for anything evil. Now, that's not to say we haven't experienced it in some of these locations, but when we do, it's one of those.
fine, she'll be right back. She'll be right back.
I know, but it was so good.
I know, it's so good, and we're gonna get right back into it. What's crazy is because, like, here we go. She's right back. Let's get it to stream. You're good. Let's just jump right back into it, my friend. Let's do this. What?
So I'm not sure where I lost you, but I mean, to answer your,
you keep the audience on.
you
Like,
know,
I'll see you later, and then right back in. Let's do this.
this is really frustrating, and I'm sorry.
You're fine. No,
But you know, for us, it's one of those where we don't go in and look for anything demonic or negative. And if we do feel that or sense that, then we'll say, you know, this is your space. We'll leave a voice recorder here. We'll leave a night vision video camera here. And so we'll have eyes and ears on it. But if you want to communicate with us, these are the tools to do it. And we've got other places that we can investigate in this location. So for us, it's not one where we go in and with bravado. We don't go in with you know, pumping our chest and or provoking or anything like that. We really go in with that sense of empathy. And if you watch any of our videos, the common theme is we want to tell your story. And that is legitimately what we're here for. We want to tell your story. And that's really how we approach our investigations.
That's exactly my interest in the paranormal too. So I really relate to that. And I really do have that same type of mentality. Like, I'm very science minded. So I want to know, I want to be able to rule everything out before I can assume that something's paranormal. So you are like completely speaking my language, and I love it.
There's Cindy. We're going to see her after in the green room. Hi, Cindy. So with locations, because there's so many questions that we could do as far as like, you probably ask the same question over and over again throughout everything you do because you've been in this a long time. What is one of your favorite locations, and is there some place that you would go back over and over again just because it intrigues you?
You know, like I said, every location that we've gone to, it just has such a different historical feel, as well as paranormal feel. You know, we've been to Brushy Mountain a couple of times, and that's in Petros, Tennessee. and I love Brushy Mountain just for the historical aspect as well as the paranormal. We again actually collaborated there one time with Ghost Biker Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations, and it's just a full array of paranormal activity in that locations. We were capturing footsteps, door slams. We had we were seeing shadow figures in the moment. We were able to capture them on film, and just it's just an amazing location, Brushy. So that's one location that I really like. We went to the Grand Old Lady Hotel in Sylvan, North Carolina. That's a location that I highly recommend. This is a hotel that was built in 1905 for the railroad that came through, and we actually had the entire hotel to ourselves for a weekend, and we just captured some amazing paranormal activity. It was on that investigation, there was just three of us, myself, my twin sister Jenny, and again Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations, and we were hearing knocks and bangs. We had a table overturn. We were in the kitchen and asked if you could if the entity there, can you show us a sign of your presence, and the coffee maker turned on. And so we were just getting just a great response throughout the entire weekend. And so that's a location that I would highly recommend as well.
And a ghost that makes you coffee is a good ghost.
I love it. And
Amen, sister. Amen.
You said Ghost Biker Explorations. They're in here right now. This is a comment from earlier. So thank you for being here and for the support. So just showing their comment. This was from an answer from earlier when we were talking about the the equipment that we all use. So yeah, thank you for being here, and that's what's up. And actually, thank you all for being here. There's a lot of comments. So
and thanks for sticking with it, even though we're having this problem.
There is no problem here. Actually, I'm having a good time. We're taking this slow and we're just chilling. Within the comment section, I do want to ask this to they are a pure established paranormal investigation crew. She'll be back in. Is the audience, is there any question that you want to be asked that maybe the Soul Sisters can answer for you? So I'll see the comments and I'll ask a question and I'll bring it over to Christy too.
Actually,
so,
Jill had a question up earlier.
Yeah, what was it? Jillian or Genevieve? Shit.
Oh,
I called you Jillian right now.
Me, sister. This
I know.
Be a problem.
Jesus. All right. Well, what was the question from Jillian?
Christy, what was your creepiest moment on an investigation?
There we go. I see that right now.
I would actually say when we were at the at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, we were in the gymnasium and we had a glow-in-the-dark balloon, a REM pod, and another piece of equipment, an EDI box that had lights on it. And there's 5 of us, and we were sitting about 15 feet away in a semicircle. And Miranda, again from Ghost Biker, was holding an SLS camera. And as we're asking questions, I see a shadow figure dart across and cuts off my line of view of everything that's in the middle of the room. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, holy shit. And Miranda's like, I just mapped something on the SLS. And I said, so you saw it? And she said, yes. And then it comes back, and we captured this on camera. You see it come back again, and all of us see it. So we all see this shadow figure, and we're the only people on the property. And so we were fortunate enough to capture it on film. And so I'd say that was one of those moments where it really makes you stand up and say, okay, there's something going on here and we actually just saw it.
That's beautiful. Go ahead, Genevieve. No, go ahead. I love it. See, we're bouncing. I love this.
How do you pick the places that you want to visit?
A lot of it really does come for us down to logistics, travel schedules and what we can get into. But we really have hit a lot of what I would call our bucket list items. I mean, we've been to Lizzie Borden, we've been to Villisca, West Virginia State Penitentiary, Tala, Brushy. So we've been very fortunate to get to those locations. And I really wanted to hit, a lot of people will say, those are so commercial, but for us, we wanted to go to those locations to really build our portfolio and really enhance our technique so that when we do residential or business investigations, we have those techniques already ready to go and in place. And we know that we've captured things using those techniques.
It's almost like having your control.
Exactly.
Like your control group.
Exactly.
Speaking my language.
This was a gentleman tonight doing the Ma Barker, so go check him out. And he had the Ma Barker show on tonight. He was the one. So yeah, Mikey, what's happening,
Hi,
brother?
Doomsday.
Doomsday.
I do have a question about the Lizzie Borden house too.
Yes.
Well, first of all, how long did you get to stay there?
We got in on a Friday at around 4 p.m. and we left Saturday afternoon. So we
wow.
stayed an entire night. We had the entire place to ourselves.
It's for sale now.
I know. And when I
moved
win the
it so bad.
lottery, I'll own it. But until that time,
What'd you think? Did you think it was haunted?
I did. We did. We
Yeah.
were it's funny sometimes when we're in the moment, and I'll freely admit it, I'll get dejected on some of these. It's like, oh, we didn't capture anything.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything. And so when we first started the investigation, that was really kind of how I was feeling, because, you're in this location that everybody says is the most haunted place. And we weren't really feeling what I would consider, any paranormal activity. But when we started the investigation that night, we were all up in the upstairs bedroom, and Miranda had a periscope, so that was going off. And then at the same time, we're hearing children's laughter, which we captured on voice recorder. And then again, there was 5 of us that night. And so then we moved over into the room that the maid Bridget stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
So we went into the room and we shut the door, and so we're all just kind of standing there asking some questions. And Miranda had a K2, and she set it down on the floor, and she said, "Now this is something that you can play with." And outside the door in the hallway, a man's voice said, "Ignore them." And we all heard it. It's like, "Did y'all hear that man?" And we're like, "Yes." And it captured. We have that on the voice recorder as well.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so then 2 of the most compelling EVPs that we captured that night was when we were actually completing our setup of our stationary equipment. We had left a voice recorder down in the parlor where Andrew Borden was killed on the couch. And so
I'm like, yes, I'm familiar.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, again, we're just still setting things up for the evening. And Jenny and Michelle were just kind of standing there, just shooting the breeze, and, not really saying anything, just talking amongst themselves. And you hear a man in the background saying, "Right here, standing next to you." And they didn't hear it, but we captured it on the voice recorder. And then Cara came down, and she was joining the conversation. And Cara and Jenny started comparing the Lizzie Borden house to the Villisca axe murder house, which we had just done. Mm-hmm. So they were talking back and forth about the similarities. And Cara said, being axed to death would be a heck of a way to die. And we captured a man's voice saying it was. And so that was extremely compelling to us, again, because obviously there's no men in the house.
Yeah. So do you think Lizzie did it?
I do. I really do. I do. And, it's interesting when you talk about these locations that you've seen on, popular media television shows. It's so much different when you actually stand there and you're touching the doorknobs, you're standing on the hardwood floor that Lizzie stood on. Mm-hmm. And you really get a different perspective. Before I went, I had my doubts, but then there's just so many things that had to have just fallen into place for another person to have done it. So I really do think she did it. I think there were extenuating circumstances as to why. I don't think it was just the money aspect, but I do think that she did it.
Yeah, I agree. And
the question here from somebody in here,
fascinating.
I'm gonna put up, and even if you haven't, and what are your plans maybe for the future for that? Because that's something I want to do personally.
The Winchester House.
We have not. I would love to get out to the Winchester House. We actually may have the opportunity to go out to California in the fall. We've been asked to do a couple of investigations out there, so that would definitely be on my bucket list. That and the Queen Mary out there as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There's several locations. I'm sorry.
That's in Long Beach. My friends go. They actually have like raves and stuff on that boat. They actually throw really good parties with some good DJs and stuff like that. So that's
a different story. That's a different show, Dom.
Yeah.
But I've asked them if they had some experiences, and they're like, they've had some really weird, like it could be anything in the world, knowing what they're partying and stuff like that. But they said, yeah, some weird stuff happened while we're on the boat, and that's a good one. The Queen Mary. Mm-hmm. The Winchester. Let me ask you this though: do you really think that's haunted, or you think that was a crazy story?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the story behind it was absolutely crazy. But she had enough energy and I think spiritual guidance behind her to keep going there. So whether or not it's haunted by an actual being, I think it's haunted by the energy that she put behind it, if that makes sense.
I agree with you 100% there.
Yeah.
100% with you.
I think sometimes that is what is the haunting. It's that residual energy that somebody just left behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, or you know, the catalyst behind it, and that she was so driven to do it and never give up and never, you know, stop building that house. You know, it's hard for me to believe that some of that energy is not just encased in those walls.
I would love to feel that energy, like inside, like staircases that go nowhere. It's like you've got to feel it within the wall. Like there's a rap song somewhere that says, you know, the walls talk all the time. I forget what it is. I'm not going to get into lyrics. I love lyrics, but like the walls all talk. And I can only imagine what that place has to say, as far as like when you could run your hand across the wall and like you could feel everything. I mean, it's got to be gorgeous.
That's what I've heard, and it's just it's fascinating. So when we get out to California, that's definitely one of the locations that we will be visiting.
Well,
They were doing virtual tours of the Winchester house.
I know.
Did you check it out?
I saw some of them. Yeah,
really cool.
Stormbringer says, "But on the Queen Mary, like it's one of these things where it's like my California friends have all been there, and they all have stories by saying, yeah, it's creepy." Like,
well, did you see Doomsday's comment about the Cecil Hotel?
Where's that at?
He just saw live this morning of a guy who lives right next to the Cecil. What do you think of that place, Christy?
That place is interesting. You know,
Have you ever been there?
I've not been there.
We didn't get into the hotel, but we were there about 3 years ago, and it is just buzzing with energy.
Oh, I'm sure it would have to be. Again, it's one of those places that it has that historical story. You know, it moved from this amazing grand hotel, and then you've got the Depression, and it goes into a depressed state, and now it's low income housing and low rent apartments, and so just that historical story and that energy that just keeps moving through that timeline. You have to know that there's something there.
Absolutely.
Yep. What's up, little bit? Jason's here. Jason Cotton, WLFE-DB. There's a lot of people. Chanel. See, I'm paying attention to a lot of things. Like
the ghosts bring everybody in, don't they?
No, it's great. Like this is good stuff right here. This is good stuff. Now, is there a place that you'll never go back to?
No, every place that we've gone, again, have just been fascinating to us. And if I had the opportunity to go back to them, I would absolutely love to do that. And it really, it allows you to do things a little bit differently. You know, the fact that we've gone to Brushy a couple times, or the old Gilchrist County Jail, the Ma Barker House, you know, we did that several times. You know, it just allows you to build your technique and your investigation style at those locations specifically. So for me, no, I've loved every place that we've gone to, each for their own distinct, unique identity. You know, the St. Augustine Lighthouse is so much different than the Villisca Axe Murder House, but I love them both. You know, just that for again, that historical perspective, but also just the challenges that they each present with a paranormal investigation.
Now I got to ask you a question here, and this is kind of personal with the area that I live in. Mm-hmm. Speaking of like a Ma Barker thing, just with the zone of where it was, how do you think the community feels about things like that, of it being haunted and stuff like that? Because the area I live in, like, how do they perceive things like this?
Well, you know, it really is funny when you go to these places that are like in the South or in the Bible Belt. You obviously are met with a different perspective when you tell people that you're a paranormal investigator. You know, you get the you have three heads look, or the I want to tell you your ghost story look. But in the South, and again, you know, through that Bible Belt when you tell people again that, you're going into we'll go to the Mom Barker house, you're going into the Mom Barker house to look for paranormal activity. At first, they're kind of turned off, but the way that, and this is not to disparage any other group by any means, but the way Soul Sisters really holds itself and presents itself, we already know that we're dealing with a stigma of a subculture, right? So people are seeing us as a subculture. So in order to catapult above that, we want to have that look and that feel that is professional. And so when somebody comes at us and says, well, I don't believe in all of that ghost stuff, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. That is your belief, and you don't have to watch any of our stuff or deal with us in any way. But let me tell you my background, and let me tell you what we found when we did the Mall Barker investigation. We did this, we controlled for this, and what we're left with is this very compelling evidence that I can't explain. And when you put it like that, when you give that historical story, that narrative of what you did and how you did it, it's very hard for people to come back and say, well, that's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And so I think because of that, we were able on that investigation specifically, we were able to get a lot of positive feedback, and people really were saying that may be possible. And it was really a cool investigation for us, again, because it was in our community. But I think we really helped enlighten some people as to things that could be going on there.
And that's beautiful that you said that you enlighten it, because like what I do, like, how I do it, like people are like, oh, that don't exist, but somehow they're interested. And when I do ghost hunts on houses, they all want to show up. And they're like, oh my God, I believe in it. So it's like you're opening their brains because they're already there. They just don't want to admit it. And that does come with the community as itself. It's like, you're opening the minds of the people that really believe in it. They just don't want to admit it. So it's really cool. I mean, that's what's awesome. And that's what, go ahead, Genevieve, go ahead.
We run into that too with the ghost tours as well. Cause we always, I always try to get a sense of the audience, and I ask who's a non-believer, and there's always at least one. But usually those people come around and they're like, oh, I had an experience one time. And I'm like, I thought you didn't believe. But they have a story, and everybody's got a story. So
well,
it's really cool.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I agree with the Ghost Biker explorations right there. Having lunch with you that day, you are one professional individual. And I do appreciate you because my friends wouldn't have played around with introducing you to me 2 years ago when we were doing a show. So I definitely appreciate you, and you are on point with everything you do. And I support you in all you do, my friend.
Thanks, Dom. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Anyway,
Thank you.
Hit it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things too that, people think about this type of investigation. So to have that level of professionalism, I think that's just, it's so important. So
yeah, and I totally agree with you. And again, it's really kind of, again, how you present yourself and then how you present the evidence. And again, not to disparage people, but when you have YouTubers that are out there that are going and doing these investigations and really trying to prevent a creep factor or a scare factor, I think that does a lot to kind of bring the entire community down in the eyes of those that are not involved in it. But when you go back, everybody's going to die at some point, obviously. And I think because of that, everybody has, even though they won't admit it, has that fascination with the paranormal. And again, if you can present it to them in a very matter-of-fact way, as this is what we did, this is how we did it, this is what we're left with. I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but I'm telling you at that point, it was very compelling. Again, we're in a location where I'm capturing men's voices or children's voices, or I'm seeing things move that I can't explain. And you present it to them like that, it really does, I think, open their minds a little bit to, okay, there could be something going on.
Yeah. And to me, it's, it's almost like a comfort to feel like there's something else out there.
You're absolutely right. And to me, because I get the question a lot, again, being from, the South and the Bible Belt and all that, if I'm religious, and the answer is yes. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. And what this has done for me is actually strengthened my belief. It has strengthened my religion. And because I know that there is going to be something after this, energy cannot be created or destroyed. We have to go somewhere. And I think that I don't think everybody is a spirit after they pass, but, for some reason, there are those that either choose or are here to communicate with us for some reason. And again, that's why when we go on these investigations, it's always, can we tell your story? Will you let us tell your story? And because we couch it like that, I think we get the responses that we've been getting.
I agree with you there too. No matter what belief you may be, investigating the paranormal, I know that there's more. And yeah, I truly love it. And the universe speaks, and it's beautiful. She's beautiful. Yeah, and there's so much more. The energy is high. It listens. I mean, things like that. I can't get into it because it gets me so excited. But like,
Well, the other thing for me too is I have an anthropology background. So the way that you're speaking, you're talking almost like doing an anthropological study on the paranormal. You're talking about coming from a place of empathy and coming from a place of understanding. And I'm like, yes, it's like it's like Jane Goodall trying to become one with the chimpanzees, but we're trying to do that with ghosts.
And that's a great example. That's a great example. And I love that analogy because you're absolutely right. And that's why, when I went back and said we use a lot of trigger items, for us, that is extremely important, as much so as any piece of equipment that we take. Because if we can have that connection with something that was important to that person, that is going to bridge that gap, that time gap, and allow us to maybe have that communication. Because, like a lot of investigators, we go in with the mindset that what we're speaking with or what we're attempting to speak with had that human experience, had that human existence. And so the nature of the human existence is to be recognized and not to be forgotten. And so when you go in and say, we're not forgetting you, we want to tell your story. And oh, by the way, we found out that you were in solitary confinement. So we're leaving you water, bread, and, a cigarette because we acknowledge that suffering that you went through. Again, we get a lot of what I feel is positive communication with the spirits because of that.
And it's respect.
Christy, I got to back you up on this one real quick because when you say, I understand it, and Genevieve understands it too, for some viewers that might not understand, what's a trigger? What's a trigger item?
And that's a great question. So for us, the way I'll explain it is a trigger item is something that is an object or a song or a smell or something that you feel that you can take into a location to get a response from a spirit. So for example, at the West Virginia State Penitentiary, there was a guy that was incarcerated there. His name was Red Snyder. Bad guy. He was in there for multiple murders. He was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood. He ran the roost at West Virginia State Penitentiary. But he had two vices in life. The first one was tobacco, and the second one was watching Days of Our Lives. So every day they would wheel the TV in front of his cell. He would watch Days of Our Lives, and they would wheel the TV back out. So when we went, and knowing that history, I actually downloaded an episode of Days of Our Lives onto my laptop, and I put it in his cell. And I said, "This is for you. We acknowledge that you enjoyed this while you were alive," and we let it run. We turned it on, we let it play, and we let him watch that episode of Days of Our Lives while we went to another cell block. Afterwards, we came back and we walked in and we said, "Did you see the things that we left you?" And we got a positive response, a guy saying yes. And then after that, we had a very cool K2 session, which again is, there's 2 meters that measure electromagnetic energy. We were getting responses on both of those meters. We would say things like, go to the left meter, go to the right meter. And so we really had this cool back and forth for about 15 minutes. And so I think through that, we were able to ascertain that we were speaking with Red Snyder. And so at the end of that K2 session, we said, "Okay, we're leaving." And I said, "Thank you." And behind me, a male's voice said, "No, thank you." And again, I think it was because we went in with the mindset of you were a scum in life, but you were human. And these are the things that you enjoyed. And because of that, here you go. And I think that's why we got that positive response. So we use that Days of Our Lives video as a trigger to get a communication or a response.
Now, can you find that on your YouTube?
Yeah, it's under the West Virginia State Penitentiary video.
All right, so I'm going to put that up real quick so everyone can find you again. Also, with your YouTube and things like that, what are some of the videos that are your favorite that people could go and then maybe ask you some questions about? Like, what are your favorite ones that are on there? So, like, once they go visit you, they could be like, "Hey, what the hell is this?"
Again, one of those investigations that I think are just amazing because everything was happening that night would be the old Gilchrist County Jail. I really enjoy the return to Brushy Mountain again with Ghost Biker Explorations because we captured that shadow figure that was actually unexplainable to us. And then the Grand Old Lady Hotel, I think that has risen the ranks as my favorite, simply again because of the energy and the spirit activity that we were capturing there. One of the interesting things was that night. So we had it for the entire weekend. So Miranda and Ghost Biker Exploration, she actually did her investigation on Friday night, and then Jenny and I did our investigation on Saturday night. But during our investigation, Miranda was downstairs in our base camp room. But when we slept that night, we decided to go up and sleep in a suite of rooms that was adjacent to the most haunted part of the hotel called Henry's Hallway. So it was a 3-bedroom suite. So we all went in, it had one doorway, it had one entrance into the suite. So we went into the suite and we all got a bed and we're sleeping there and the door is shut. I've got a camera inside the room looking at the door, and I've got a camera outside in the hallway looking at the door. And so I know that there's nobody else in this hotel. And so you hear us on the voice recorder say our good nights, and about 15 minutes later, there's a man at the door saying, "Please don't go." And we captured it. We all heard it. Miranda's like, "Did y'all hear that?" And we were like, "Yes, we heard that." She's like, "What does that sound like to you?" And I said, "That's a man outside her door." She's like, "Yes, that's what I heard." Wow. And so, yeah, it's that is, I'd say the Grand Old Lady Hotel is one that I would recommend watching.
Beautiful.
I want to go back to that comment that you just put up with.
I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah.
Jackie Lynn.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
She commented and said, "Oh, you ladies have such a big heart. That fella in jail with Days of Our Lives." And I think that's another big thing too that a lot of people might miss out on. It really is that coming from that place of respect and honoring these people in a way, even people that were not so great in life. But again, acknowledging them, I think that might be one of the reasons why you guys get such compelling results.
And I think you're right. I hope you're right. That's my belief when we go and do these, is that we do come at it like that. And I think, I don't want to use the word rewarded, but I think we're rewarded with that type of evidence because when we go in with that mindset.
Yeah, because I do that with my tours as well. I want to make sure that the ghosts that I'm talking about, I want to make sure that I let them know that I'm keeping their story alive.
Well, exactly.
Genevieve, I'm keeping it alive.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you right there, but it makes sense what you're saying, Genevieve, because you're like, I haven't met you in person, but you're such a pure individual, and I've met Christy in person, and it's just this like pure structure where it's like there's no structure to it other than just going in there and just being real about it.
Yeah, I mean, they were human and they deserve their story. We all deserve our stories to live on. That's the way we become immortal, that our story is carried on.
Indeed.
And when those stories aren't told anymore, it's essentially like you're not there anymore. So for us to be able to do that and keep those stories alive, to us is what we're here to do. I just noticed that Janet said her favorite episode with the EVPs with the 430 guy and the little boy with the bed. And I'd like to explain that quickly. And Janet, thank you for watching. We were at the Exchange Hotel in Gordonsville, Virginia. And this was a hotel that was built pre-Civil War because of the railroad lines that were coming into the town. And during the Civil War, it was recommissioned into a Civil War hospital. So there was confirmed 750 deaths inside that hospital, both Union and Confederate soldiers. And then after the Civil War, it reverted back to a hotel. So we were there that night. Again, there were just 5 females in the entire building. And we had a voice recorder. Now, half of the hotel is set up to look like the Civil War hospital, and the other half is set up to look like a hotel. So in one of the rooms that was set up to look like a hotel, we had a voice recorder on the bed. And the first EVP that we captured that night, there was 2 of us across the hall, but we didn't hear this EVP in the moment. There was 2 across the hall, the rest were outside. And the voice recorder captured a male's voice, very clear, said, "I don't know, I'll be back at 4:30." And it sounded like an older gentleman. He had kind of like a rasp in his voice, kind of like, "I don't know, I'll be back at 4:30." And extremely compelling, because to me, it's almost like a residual. I don't know if he was a doctor saying that he's coming back at 4:30 to do more operations, or if he's going to catch a train at 4:30, but it's extremely compelling to us. So I think that was residual. And then we had that same voice recorder a couple hours later. There was a child's voice that we captured, and it said, "Hi, this is my bed." And that to me is intelligent. I think he saw the voice recorder on the bed, and he's saying, "Hi, this is my bed. What are you doing here?" And so that, I think those are 2 of the better EVPs that we've captured on some of these investigations.
Interesting.
Love it. Oh man, you're bringing up a lot of memories right now as far as like all my investigations and stuff. But see, I don't really keep a lot of mine because I never wanted to go public with it. I wanted to go further with being a paranormal investigator, but I really enjoyed staying in the background until I wanted to do that show, and then it went nowhere.
And
Don't give up,
I don't personally do much investigation. Like I said, I'm a storyteller, so I like the research part of it. I like the actual drawing up the story and telling the story. But I have done a few investigations, and I have had some very interesting experiences.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. You know, the going into research. I mean, I still go into libraries. I love going into the state archives, the Smithsonian, Library of Congress, all of that. So I really love the historical aspect of it. And again, to find those stories that people may have heard in an overview, but really get down and get some facts that they may not have known of. Again, that's why the Ma Barker house was it was such a great investigation for us, not so much for the investigation itself, but for the storyline behind it. I mean, this is a location, again, that was for 3 months was in the national spotlight in 1935. And most of the people in the community had no idea it was even there, had no idea it even existed. And then, we had the newspaper do a couple write-ups on us. We had one of the radio stations did a little blurb on us. And then all of a sudden it was like, wow, I had no idea that was in my community. And that's what's so fascinating about what we do. There's so many places like this in everybody's backyard, in everybody's community. And to be able to highlight those and bring some recognition to them, to me, is it's a thrill. It really is.
It's funny too, because when I moved to this area, I didn't know Keyport existed. And I sort of found myself here in this really old house. And then I started hearing the ghost stories, and I'm like, oh, that's what brought me here.
There you go. Yeah, you're compelled to be there. Absolutely. You're drawn to that location.
Here.
Absolutely.
And now I'm like the keeper of their stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, one thing that draws me to the paranormal research that I do is the history of it, because, one of the house that I practice in, getting kids and stuff like that, and then people seeing this big shadow figure that I see, and psychics are drawn to me and said, "Hey, you got the shadow figure," and stuff like that. Of course I do. Is just the research of why and how and where they came about. Like, I think the history and then how to do it, it draws me more than the paranormal aspect of it. Like, that's what I love more about it. When you go into locations, where I'm getting at, how much research do you guys do before you go into a place? Like, does it take you weeks, months, or you guys just kind of pick a place and say, "Hey, we're going in"?
We do a very broad overview before we go in. Now, of course, some of them, like Lizzie Borden or the Villiscax Murder House, I mean, we know those, that we know that history. But for other locations, we'll have a very brief overview when we go in. Maybe pick one or two things like Red Snyder at West Virginia State Penitentiary. But we really don't want that to influence our investigation in any way. Like go in and just look for like Lizzie Borden or something like that. But then afterwards, after we do the investigation, we will absolutely go in for as long as it takes, really, to really get a rich historical narrative. For Brushy Mountain, for example, we're going in and going into the Tennessee State Archives and really find why Brushy Mountain existed. Just for that example, I mean, you've got this maximum security prison, which is all fine and dandy, but when you start going back into the history and realizing that it was built because the state needed labor to get the coal, so we're going to use prisoners to save us money, and that's how it came about. I mean, to me, that's fascinating. Or back to Fort Mifflin, when you've got these Revolutionary War soldiers that are building this fort and very quickly building it to hold off this armada. When you go back and delve into that historical narrative of it, that is extremely fascinating. So we will absolutely do as much research as necessary to get what we feel is a strong historical narrative. For the Ma Barker one, that's one of our longest stories. Most of our introduction, because the way our videos are laid out, you get the historical perspective, our investigation, and then we'll round it out as to how we think those are coupled. But for the Ma Barker, and the intro lasts about 4 minutes, but I think Ma Barker's went into 6 or 7 minutes because it's one of those that, yeah, you had this shootout in 1935, but you got to get behind why the shootout actually happened, right? So you've got to go into the gangster era. You've got to go into the Great Depression and Prohibition and bringing in the Lindbergh Act and all of that as to why these people were being, hounded by J. Edgar Hoover. So for me, just getting into that is the most rewarding part of what we do.
Me too.
And it's crazy too, because when we keep bringing up Ma Barker, I can't believe it's happening because there's like the two shows that are Ma Barker. But across the street from the Ma Barker, there's Gator Joe's right there where they have the big gator, representing the alligator that they had back in the day. I better get some free gator tail, Gator Joe, by the way. But across the street from that is the Ma Barker bar. So there's like a history that they built. The bar is about as small as this table I'm on right now, honestly. Yes. And they just represent the history, saying Ma Barker's bar, because there's so much there in just a small little town. Genevieve doesn't understand how small Ocklawaha is.
Oh yeah, it's literally a one light town. There's one stoplight in the town, and it's rural Florida. But you're right, they have the Ma Barker bar. What's interesting is they still have the old Ocklawaha Hotel, which is where the FBI stayed when they were going after the
right. It's right to the right of that light. When you get to that light, and I'm seeing this as I go, it's right to the right, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. And then there's Gator Joe's. Gator Tail.
And Genevieve, in case you didn't know, or if anybody watching doesn't know, Gator Joe's is interesting, and it plays into the story because when the FBI were looking for Ma and Fred Barker, they actually found one of her other sons in Chicago, and when they raided his apartment, they found a letter that Ma had written from Central Florida saying that your brother is having a great time trying to hunt this gator named Big Joe, and so that's how the FBI tracked them down to Lake Weir, because Lake Weir had an alligator in it named Big Joe that the locals called Big Joe. Yeah.
And they have the big statue. I don't know if you've been there in a long time, but there's that big statue. Yeah. So there's that big statue, as you know. That's the big gator. You walk in on this dock. They got the volleyball net. There's planes that go in and out. I mean, it's a beautiful spot just to hang out on like a Sunday and a Saturday. But yeah, there's a lot of history in this little town with one light.
Yep.
Genevieve, where'd you go? You went black.
So yeah, for us, it really was a fascinating investigation. I'm glad we were able to do it.
Well, that's awesome. All right, so while you're here, real quick, I know you're going across the screen, but I always love when somebody is able to say it. How do we find you, Christy? Because you know that. Like, how do we find Christy in the future, and how do we get to you?
Well, the best way is at www.soulsistersparanormal.com. That's our website, and we have the history of how we were formed, where we're going next, the investigations that we've completed, but we haven't had the chance to get our video out yet. So that's all there. Anything that you want to know about us is on that website. Everything that we do in video form is on YouTube under Soul Sisters Paranormal, and we're also very active on Facebook under Soul Sisters Paranormal.
That's what's up. All right, Genevieve, back.
Hey.
Had a beagle difficulty. Sorry. He knocked out the power.
That's
right.
Okay.
We just learned how to find Christy with Soul Sisters Paranormal. We talked a little earlier. We are getting into the time range. We got till midnight.
You got some witching hour.
But it's yeah, I know. Just in case that people are just popping in and stuff like that, because I don't have my Facebook and stuff like that. I can't see all the comments. I just see what's on my StreamYard. What's with the future with Soul Sisters? I'll repeat that question just for the people that are maybe just tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've got several investigations lined up this year. We've been very fortunate. We didn't really slow down with COVID, which was nice. But we've got several investigations this year. We've been asked to speak at several paracons and symposiums. So we'll be doing that. We hope to get overseas to England in September. I'll actually be going with Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations. She'll be speaking at a conference over there. So I'll be going over to help her, but we're also going to be doing some investigations over there in the UK. And so that's really in the near future. That's where we're going. Overall future, it just really is. It's one of those things that's evolving over time. Like I said, this was never something that we thought we would get any type of recognition from. But as more people like our videos, the sky is really becoming the limit to where we can go. So if the opportunity presents itself, we'll go further. But for right now, we're just having a ball touring the country and putting together videos.
Do you know where you're going before you go to UK?
That's what I was going to ask too.
Lunch with me before I leave.
Yes. I'll go to lunch with you before
That'll
you leave.
Be paranormal in and of itself.
Yes. One way or another, somebody will get scared, I'm sure, whether it's us or the people around us in the restaurant.
I'm telling you, for somebody, the people on here, if you ever get to know Christy, it's such a great thing to know her, because she's such a really down-to-earth individual. And I'm a tough person to get to talk to at times, but it's just one of these things where it's like we kind of set it off like right from the start, and then here she is, but 2 years later. So like, she's a good person. My friends introduced me to her, for anyone that's tuning in, from house hunters and stuff like that. And they wouldn't waste their time, like I said in the beginning. She's just a good individual. So everyone look into Soul Sisters Paranormal. Like, she's
and
just
that comes through too. I mean, I did watch the videos. Like, that comes through. Like we talked about a little bit earlier. It's coming from a place of good energy. So.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. Actually, it's very touching. So I appreciate you saying that. I really do.
Well, you've got a lot coming up, and you're going to go far, within this structure too, because I know that, as you get into it, and when we talked about the realm of cinema, as far as what I wanted to do with that, do you have any plan? I mean, we talked about this at lunch that day, but it's been a couple of years. Do you have any plans of maybe getting your own show going as far as with the Soul Sisters? Because I think it's so needed.
Again, if that opportunity presents itself, we would absolutely jump on it and like to have that conversation. We've been approached by producers a couple of times. Both of them decided that they wanted to ask us to change our structure and our style, and that's something that we're not willing to compromise on. And so we declined those two offers. But again, if it's something that comes up that will allow us to stay true to who we are and what we do and how we do it. Absolutely, that'd be a great conversation to have, and it would be a tremendous honor to do something like that. But like I said, for right now, it's just this is allowing us to do something extremely cool in a very unique way, and we're happy sticking with that. Again, if something comes up, that's great. If not, we're completely fine with that as well.
That is one of the best answers I've ever heard in my life. And that's why I still talk to you and you still talk to me. We stay true to our nature. And I know this is going to
be.
TV and stuff like that. So whoever's watching, pay attention to Christy, because you need her on a channel, because the world needs to see what she has. And
thank you. That means a lot.
Not with one person, but now they literally are a crew that just does what they do what they do, and they stay true to their nature, and they will entertain you while giving you true evidence. That's what we need in ghost hunting, because there's a lot of shows right now that literally kind of bring us down. And I'm not going to get into that. No, we're not going to talk about bad things about shows, but there's something new that's needed. Am I wrong?
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And you know, you're right. We do have a style that we have become comfortable with, and we feel works for us and our audience. And we do want to remain true to that. But again, if that's something that somebody doesn't appreciate or doesn't like, there are hundreds of other paranormal teams out there that they can watch and follow. You know, like I said, I think what we're putting out is something that's very history driven, and we like to say that if that can carry you know, our video, then watch for the historical perspective. You don't even have to continue on with the paranormal if you don't enjoy that. But you know, if we can put together that entire story and something that is compelling and both you know, entertaining to a point, then that's what we want to put out there.
And it's stuff that you have to be proud of. You know, your work is going out into the ether. You know, it's got to be something that you're standing behind and that you're proud of. And I think that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of these things. And with all the comments in here, I wanted to tell everyone, you know, Genevieve, plug yourself here in a moment too. Everyone, definitely, we need this. Like, share, and follow WLFE-DB. WLFE-DB radio. I say that all the time. I'm so used to saying it the way I do. But, you know, like, share, and follow Real Talk with Dom, The Creepy Parlor, you know, all the other shows that we have as well, too. There's a variety of us. And this is, you know, we do this to entertain. And we just want to make everyone's night. And that's what we're here for. So, yeah, Genevieve, what do you have
I just want to get creepy. I just want to be creepy all the time.
You and me both.
We're gonna hang out, Christy. I want to get real.
I like that.
Real Talk with Dom too, things like that. Like, yeah, I mean, you can find us everywhere, including Genevieve. You know, all the same formats. You know,
WLFE-DB.com. We're all in there now.
And then
you can binge watch us.
My theme music is also Possessed Tranquility. You can find them on Reverb Nation. The song is called The Unexplained. And there's a lot of work that they put out. They've been on, they were my first guest, and they will never be my last. They've been on twice already, and they're just great people to have there.
And that is another really cool thing about doing this, is I get to meet people that I would not have met before. Yeah. Which is, I got to meet Possessed Tranquility, and now I get to meet Christy.
Oh, likewise. And that is really the interesting thing about this. You know, again, when we first started this and we really started to really get into paranormal investigations, yeah, you know, you always know that there's people out there that do this, but when you really get into the community and you find those like-minded individuals, you know, I keep referring to Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations, but, you know, the first time I ever met her, we were at an investigation, and that was a Henry River Mill investigation. We had started emailing, but the first time I ever met her in person was at Henry River Mill, and she'd become my best friend. And so that's the really cool thing about this community, is you find these like-minded individuals that are in it for the history, in it for what I feel are legitimate reasons, which is, you know, finding those answers, giving that historical narrative and finding the answers. And then you just start, you know, talking to them and building this amazing network of like-minded individuals. And it's a lot of fun. You meet them at Paracons, you meet up, you know, on different, you know, podcasts such as this. And it's just a great community to be involved in if you find those people that are like-minded in what we're doing.
I'll tell you, you're so right about that too, because I lost my heart within entertainment. And just jumping on Genevieve's thing that night, there's Ted right there. Hey. Just jumping on Genevieve's thing that night, the Haunted Happy Hour. Actually, put fire up under my ass again, just to start.
That's my specialty.
It's cool because like I was on Talk with Teddy about the books that I did. Like, so I was actually a guest to replace a guest because there was somebody not there, and then I did want to do a show, and then I started getting into this as we go, and then I met Genevieve, and I said, let's just build this big family, and it's like. The fire started going again. It's like the entertainment aspect. So it's like you never know who you're gonna meet. I really love it. So it's cool. So I appreciate you all, honestly. Dom, 2 books. You know it.
Hi, Teddy.
What's up, Ted? I didn't send him a link like I said I would, but yeah, Ted, if you want to get in, just let me know.
It's like you're trying to get fired.
I get fired every day. What you want me to do? So, well, we are at the 11:30 marker. Genevieve.
Yes.
What do you Gettysburg Battlefield Bash? Here we go. Yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
Have you been to Gettysburg, Christy?
I have. I've actually spent the night a few times at the Farnsworth Inn, and just an amazing experience. And just actually being on the battlefield and feeling that energy it's unlike anything else, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I get to experience that with my friends in August. Genevieve, we're going in August with Ted and everyone. Tom Nally's going, right?
I got to make sure this COVID thing calms down first.
I understand that. Yeah. All right. Ted says send it. He's going to jump on with us. So, Genevieve, take on the show real quick. Let me...
I'm the secretary, Christy, in case you didn't know that.
Never
secretary. There you go.
We're
gonna get the party started when Dom jumps off. Ready and go.
And go. So, you said how long did you stay in Gettysburg?
The first time we were there for about 4 nights, and then the last time it was actually interesting. When we went up to the Lizzie Borden house, we actually drove up because I'm not going to put any of my equipment on an airplane. I just don't trust it.
Yeah,
so we're driving everywhere. So we actually drove from Florida up through Gettysburg and then up to the Lizzie Borden house, and so we stopped at Gettysburg for a couple nights, and it was just fantastic.
That's my that's like one of my dream trips is to just do a whole Eastern Seaboard paranormal trip and end up in New Orleans.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
yeah.
We were supposed to be, my sister and I, Jenny and I, were actually supposed to be in New Orleans last week on our way out to Texas. But the snowstorm really just put the kibosh on that. So we're actually yeah, we had reservations at the Myrtles and had to cancel it. So we have to reschedule that.
Had you been there before?
I've not. No, I've not been there.
I haven't gone to the Myrtles, but I've been to New Orleans, I think 4 times so far. And everything about that city it's
amazing. It really is. It really is. You just really get submerged in this different culture, this different background, this different, history. And it really is an amazing city to visit.
The first time I was there, and of course, I grew up reading Anne Rice and Interview the Vampire and all that stuff. So I had this incredibly romantic, macabre notion of New Orleans. But the first time I was there, I remember walking around the French Quarter, and you can literally hear the stories of the area as you're walking.
I know. And those type of locations, to me, it's like Williamsburg, Virginia. Just seeing or going to those locations that still have some of the old structures or some of the markers or anything like that. It's an amazing experience.
Teddy's here.
Hi, all.
Right there. What's happening, Ted?
Just got done talking with finishing up the green room with my guests for the evening, and
That's awesome.
Nice. Oh my God, he was such a great interview. So if you ever want another great interview with somebody in the paranormal field, I'm going to recommend Randy Liebeck. He's amazing.
Awesome.
That's great. I recommend Christy, with Genevieve, the Parrots.
Good. I got space in the end of March, I think. March or April or somewhere in there.
Your whole night booked.
That's fine. Hey, let's do it, Ted. Genevieve's first, and then Ted.
Yeah.
There you go.
Genevieve will say, no, Ted first. Ted first.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's the boss.
They're all like, "Oh, he's the boss. He goes for." Nah, I don't care about any of that stuff. Go for it. I don't care.
Well, what's
I'm
great
easy.
is that the network is amazing, and like this is what it's all about. I love it. You know.
Yeah, and by the way, you're live right now on the Paranormal View. By the way,
I love it.
Oh,
you're
cool.
on the TV channel live right now.
Yeah,
I know. I was
So you
checking it out before I came here.
that's
So you
cool.
got to see my? Did you get to see my beagle pull out my lights? Did you get?
Oh,
to
I
catch
didn't
that on
see that
TV?
part, but I didn't see that part.
It might be a little fun there, Genevieve, but yeah, no, we're good. You know, Christy, you've been an amazing guest tonight. We've only got
thank you.
about 30 minutes left and stuff like that, and you're just so easy to talk to, and that's what's
thank
cool
you.
about it. You know, you don't have an arrogance about you like with other paranormal investigators and stuff. Like,
Hey.
Ted, honestly, do you have any? Like, let me ask you this:
He's trying to get fired.
No,
He wants
actually-
the attention.
Well, you know, to me, that's an interesting comment because, you know, there's really no room for arrogance in this community. I don't think it just really.
And there is so much of it, though.
There really is, and to me, it's a fascinating thing to watch because, you know, we're in the one field where nothing can be proven. We're all basing this on theory, and it's just like, you know, I can go to Brushy Mountain tonight and get some amazing evidence, and Ted, you can go tomorrow night and you can get some amazing evidence, but it will never be the same evidence. You'll never get what I capture, and I'll never get what you capture. And so for people to get, you know, an arrogance about them with what we do, I just think it just does a disservice to investigators as a whole, because it's just it's one of those things that's not necessary.
But if we get the same evidence, we should be sharing what we get so that we can be seeing if there's anything that connects the two. Because that's one of the things that I have a problem with in the paranormal field is that nobody is willing to share their evidence, especially if you're doing the same locations. You should, because you need to see if any of them match up. I mean, we're looking for answers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, if I get a voice, again, we'll go back to Brushy Mountain. If I get a voice at Brushy and you get a voice at Brushy, I mean, comparing those would be, to me, fascinating to see if we've got the same, you know, the same voice inflection, the same phraseology. You know, and to me, there's really no point in not sharing it or not being transparent with what you're getting, because, you know, once you start hoarding that information or not being transparent with it, it just really, again, does a disservice, I think. But it's one of those things that none of us will get the correct answer until we die. You know, you may capture a shadow figure and I may capture a shadow figure, but, you know, who's to say it's the better shadow figure? You know, it just doesn't make any sense to get.
It shouldn't even come down to that. It shouldn't even come.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it shouldn't come down to that, Christy. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it shouldn't come down to that. Here's the thing. I mean, I started this right out of high school. So in 86 is when I started investigating. I've got over 30 years into this. And I've written 2 books, and I spend a lot of time doing experiments and testing and trying different things, you know, going outside the normal box, because we're all beating the same beaten path, and you've got to get outside the box to find things.
Yep,
even if somebody tells you you shouldn't do this because it's not going to make any difference, I say do it. Because all it takes is one anomaly, just one anomaly, to point you in a different direction.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's very, and not to interrupt, I'm sorry. It's interesting to me that, you know, when we'll, for example, when we put something out there, like I'm using a spirit box, a lot of people have their opinions about the spirit box. And so you'll get negative comments. Well, I don't use that. I don't trust that. That is absolutely fine. If you don't trust it and you don't use it, then don't watch this video. But I'm saying that when I'm here, we'll go to the Mont Barker house again. When I've got this spirit box that is so fast sweeping through frequencies and I get a complete phrase saying they murdered us, we the ones dead, that's extremely compelling to me and something that is to me at the moment unexplainable. And so I'm going to put that out there. And if somebody wants to come and have a dialogue with me about what else it could be, I want to have that dialogue. But until that point, I'm going to use the equipment that I feel is going to get me a response at that moment.
Yeah, and to kind of add up to that, it's like every investigator and every team or whatever, they all use different tools.
Mhm.
And, that's what I like about the diversity is everybody's using something different. So, like, I don't use ghost boxes. I
Mhm.
am like what you mentioned. I don't believe in the use of them. I don't like what they give me. No facts, no nothing to me, but it doesn't mean that you can't. I'm going to respect your opinion. And unfortunately, there's not enough of that out there. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? There isn't enough people that in these teams that want to work together. In fact, what's interesting is when I was talking to Randy on my show, we have mentioned this. My show just celebrated 5 years, and
Congrats.
we have been doing this for a long time. And one of the things that we've always brought up is that we need a national database where all these teams can we all get the same piece of document, we all fill it out the same, we throw it in this database. Do we have to believe everything that's there? No, but at least there's something in there that we can reference to, something that says, hey, this team, the Soul Sisters of Paranormal, caught the same anomaly we did. So we need to talk to them. We need to see what their paperwork said to see if what the correlation is. What did we do and what did they do? So that it
That's
points us
fascinating.
to a direction. And that's what we really need. But nobody trusts the other person. Nobody, who's in charge? Who's going to pay for it? I mean,
But that
let's look.
whole thing that you're
You know,
proposing just really like piques the science brain in me and makes me think that would be amazing.
it is amazing. And if people did the experiments and actually documented their
Yeah.
findings, that
Mhm.
would be fantastic because teams, you get too many enthusiasts and not enough scientists or science people, doing it with a scientific method no matter
Mhm.
what you use. But if you're not doing your experiments, you're not using documentation, you don't have the knowledge, some of it's wasted. But you kind of have to decide where you want to be on that scale too. Do I want to just go out and get scared and take
Yeah.
my friends out and blah blah blah, or do I want to be serious about this?
I feel
You
like
know,
teams that exist within the paranormal, like as far as like the researchers, because I think when you want to get shows and stuff like that, I think it's more selfish, but Chrissy does and
shows.
things like that. Like it's one of these things where like it's organic. I think the people that want to come together and just like you're talking about, like let's compare our evidence together to really show this is real. That's where the material would come in, where it's like, hey, we could say, hey, yes, there's something weird here. But I feel like that there's just so much selfishness within this field that it's kind of put in a bitter taste in people's mouths, as far as not only a viewer, but as far as what we do for research as well.
Well, I think Dom, if you guys don't, I didn't mean to take over the show here,
No, I love it. Thank you.
but there are like there's a couple things. One, I wanna talk about what Christy did when I first came in. She was talking about trying to. We don't know what ghosts are. We don't even know if they exist. There's no evidence whatsoever that they do exist. And all we know is that we are getting anomalies. That's
Mhm.
it. And we as researchers, true researchers, have to find out what that anomaly is and how it was caused, where it came from, so on and so forth. But until we know what a ghost is, we can't give you anything. There
That's
there
exactly
are
right.
was it 2,500 paranormal teams in the United States today?
Oh, yeah, at least.
2,500 teams. Can you imagine if you could get them to just share a little bit of their evidence, what we could get out of that?
I
I mean,
agree
if
with you.
anything, if anything. But
Yep.
here's the other thing, Dom, is there is a definite line between entertainment and reality.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, the TV is running the paranormal and not the science, not the investigators. All the major public is seeing is TV. They're not
Right.
seeing what's really happening over here. So the work that Christy does, or I do, or you do, or Genevieve does, falls to the wayside because nobody cares. And science, and until they give us an opening, they're just looking to us as a pseudoscience. Even though it is a science, they still look at it as they're never going to come up with what they need because it falls underneath this. And I can't go into all that because it would take forever. You only have 20 minutes. So, all I'm saying is that the amount of time that I've done the work myself is that I know there are good people trying to do the right thing. And unfortunately, like myself, we get pushed to the side because the TV is spouting out so much stuff that isn't real. Like Zach Bagan's show, I'm sorry, it's entertainment. It's not real. You cannot be possessed every single episode. It doesn't happen. You would not exist at this moment. And not every location. I have done 120 or 30 investigations over 35 years or 4 years. Not one was demonic. Not one.
Well, Chris,
Teddy, what got you into this?
Who? You talking to me?
Yeah. Like what?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Well, I don't want to be on here long because it's Christy's show.
Okay.
I'll just answer you real quick. No, I'll just answer you real quick. I had an experience when I was like 6, 7 years old, or 7 and 8. Saw my grandmother. She had already passed. I didn't know that. So that's what got me into it. I started in my teens. I started doing the research myself, reading whatever I could read, watch whatever I could watch, everything from the Bible to Hans Holzer to all these other people reading their books, trying to get information. Then I fell into that whole thing when In Search Of came out and all those other things. I watched the TV programs. And I just kept learning. And that is the biggest thing about paranormal investigators or ghost hunters today is you have to realize that you never stop learning. And once you stop learning, then you might as well give up because you don't have the answers. I don't have the answers. So if you think that you know it all at this point, go over there because I don't want to talk to you. And so that's all I've been doing. And I wrote my books on the premise that basic, like flashlight, recorder, and comfortable shoes, it's the basic necessities that you need. You don't need all that other equipment. You need a flashlight, you need a recorder, and you need something comfortable to walk in. And once you do that, that's all you need. You don't need anything else. If you want to bring a camera in later on, then go for it because the camera or a video camera will record like the location and the stuff that you might need. And then the other book is just old school. I'm a very old school investigator. I don't use technology. I have a problem with some of it. And the other thing that goes with that is there's a lot of people out there using these gadgets that don't know what it does. They have no education about it. And so for me, I'm comfortable where I am and they are comfortable where they are. And that's good. All I'm asking for is let's get together. Let's discuss some of this stuff. Let's get a national database together somehow. If somebody can get a grant. Get a grant. Who cares? Get a grant. I can't, but get a grant. We'll get a national database. Dom's got all the money in the world. We'll let Dom do it. Dom, you buy it. Anyways, I'm just picking on you, buddy. But yeah, that's it. So now it's Christy's turn. I'm done.
Yeah. So same for Christy. What started your interest in this?
Well, we've always had a fascination with the paranormal. We've always had a belief in the afterlife, but really getting into paranormal investigations, it was that girls' trip in 2013. It just really allowed us to go into that location and get again what we felt was compelling evidence. We had footsteps coming at us, we had doors slamming when we know that we're the only people in there.
Cool.
But it really was just kind of falling into it, honestly. And now it's one of those things that, like you, Genevieve, it just kind of consumes me. I'm ready for the next investigation. I love going through the evidence. We've got, even if we've got 10 voice recorders set up in a location like Brushy Mountain, I'm listening to 100 hours of audio and I sit and listen.
You go, girl.
It takes us months to go through everything, but I feel you're not doing the investigation justice if you don't. So
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Oh no, go ahead, Dom.
No, I'm saying I don't know how she has the patience for that because I know I don't. Everything I do, and I'm like, whoa.
Well, let me just before I ask my question to Christy, let me just give you an idea, Dom. I have 16 cameras that work on a DVR system. I have two. In fact, I'll show you one because I was just displaying this. I have two very large. You see the size of my hand?
Yep.
I have
Wow.
two very large cameras that I can record almost a mile away. With these, I have handhelds, and I have the wireless that connect to my cell phone. So I carry a lot of cameras, and if I'm in a large location and I'm there 8 to 12 hours, I'm in there 5 monitors. That's usually what's happening because after watching 80 hours of video,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. And I haven't even touched the digital recorders. It's like, so I feel her pain. I know. I've been doing this a long time. I started with the old fashioned cassette tapes where you push the 2 buttons down to record and you carried that thing around on your pocket, on your belt.
There you go.
So yeah, I've been around a long time with this stuff, but trust me, I know there's a lot. But I was going to ask Christy, have you ever had an experience to where let me try to explain this the best. Ever had an experience to where you just stood there and go, wait a minute, I got to process this. I don't know what I just saw. I have no clue. Like normal basic thought patterns went shut down.
Yeah, I would say that the shadow figure that we saw in Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, I alluded to that earlier. We actually, there's 5 of us, and we all saw this shadow figure. It ran from right to left, and then it ran back from left to right. So that was interesting. We were in the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, and
cool place.
Yeah, I love that place. But everybody on the property, so it was 5 investigators for Soul Sisters, and then the 2 docents that were there. We asked them to walk around with us because when we go to a location, we feel that at least one sweep with the people there that know the location might get us a response. So everybody in the building was in this one, circle at the end of this hallway. And we captured this blood-curdling scream from the other end of the hallway, and everything that we had running that night captured it. And I mean, you can hear it. We have it on our video, and it was fantastic. It was an awesome, awesome scream. And so we've had several of those. We're at Hales Bar Dam, and my name was called by a man, and there's no man on the team. There was no man on the property, so my name was called. So that was pretty interesting. And for us, it's just one of those things where I'm fascinated by it. I'm not going to run out screaming. Right. I don't even know if I'm capable of screaming. I'm not going to run out. I'm actually running towards it to see if we can figure it out.
See, this is me talking to you right now as a fan. I want to say this. I have a question for you just because like what we do. Ted's an author. I have books. Do you have any plans on maybe writing a book about, as the sisters go, as far as like maybe your experiences and stuff like that? I'm asking as a fan because like, I love stuff like that.
I'd buy that book.
I would.
It is one of those things that is I have notes on notepads everywhere. I just got to get them really, put together and in a manageable book form. But I will eventually write a book. I just don't know if it's going to be like anytime this year or so, but it'll be soon.
I would read it though, and send you a copy signed.
I'll absolutely do that.
We won't be able to do lunch, and
you'll be the first edition, number 1.
Indeed.
Dom, stop fangirling.
I know, she's so cool. Like I'm telling you, when I had lunch with her, she was one of the nicest people I've met in a very long time.
She seems great.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. I appreciate that. But no, Ted, back to your other question. It's one of those things that when we go to these locations, we're a firm believer in just sitting and being in the moment and just really taking in the entire space. And I think that really allows us to use those senses other than our sight. So you hear, the hearing becomes intense, the feelings become intense. And I think because of that, we've been able to get some very interesting things in most of the locations that we've gone to.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love it. She sounds cool as shit. Oh.
I am cool as shit. I don't sound it. I am it.
We've been good all night. I think we said. All right. So at this time, we only got 10 minutes left. Christy, I just take this time out to you.
I'm the boss. The boss is here. You got lots of time.
We can do whatever. In reality, just one more time, let everyone know how to get a hold of you. Just anyone tuning in and things like that. Just one more time, take it out for yourself because you deserve it, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you again so much for having me, and everybody watching and kind of stuck with us through the technical difficulties. Thank you. So www.soulsistersparanormal.com is our website. We're also very active on Facebook under Soul Sisters Paranormal, and all of our video evidence and anything that we do, lives or anything like that, is on our YouTube channel under Soul Sisters Paranormal, and we'd greatly appreciate any likes or subscribes.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone go over there and check them out for sure. You're not going to waste your time with somebody like Christy because she is just a perfect individual as far as just being a nice person and the structure of what they have. Go to their YouTube. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy those videos and just check it out. I mean,
those EVPs are something else.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I'm definitely having her on my show. I already like her, so she's in.
Oh, I'd love to be on, Ted. Thank you.
Go on it for sure because this is what it's about. It's networking, and I love this. This is why I'm here personally. This is why I'm here, and I love it.
Absolutely, a lot of fun.
It's one of the best topics. One of the best topics in the world to talk about. There are so many people that are afraid of this topic, but you know what? Once you get them into a conversation and kind of explain things, especially the real side of it, not the entertainment side, they tend to open up. And I found that, because my lectures start up in September. I give lectures for the OWL library circuit, and I go to library to library. And once I get in there, it's like my lectures, you always find people that I ask, it's like, why are you here? And they're like, because I'm really interested, but scared shitless. I don't, and it's like, if you want the education, that's why I'm here. I'll give you what I've got, and then I'll just tell you my experiences. Then it's up to you to decide. Just remember that in every story, there's an ounce of truth, and that's what I tell everybody at my lectures, because you may hear stories from somebody else that just sounds phenomenal, like way out there, but no matter how big they make that fish, there's an ounce of truth in that fish story.
Love it.
Yeah.
I would say my stories are true to the best of my knowledge.
There you go. There you go. And, that's another thing, very rarely will you hear me say that this place is haunted. I will say this place gave us some compelling evidence. And that is what, at that moment in time, those are the things that I can't explain. And, but if somebody wants to come back again and have a dialogue with me about what they think it could be, then I want to have that dialogue.
Right.
But for me, that it was the unexplainable at that moment in time that I was there.
Christy, have you ever gotten an EVP where it was English backwards?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
I have, and I just found out tonight from this other guy that there's an actual study, because more of that's popping up lately with EVPs.
Interesting.
Well, Ted, I got a question.
And I got mine I think I got mine 6 years ago, and now they're becoming more. Yeah. What?
Interesting.
That's interesting you say that too, because I've had that before, and I didn't save it, that it was backwards, that they couldn't explain it. And then I was thinking it was different language. So I started learning different languages to talk within the EVP.
I tried the same thing, Dom. I sent it because I live near an Indian reservation, and the Seneca Indians were the big part here. I sent it off to the Indian reservation, to people I know, to see if they could translate it. They couldn't. Send it to the local college. They couldn't translate it. I have a friend that works on I can never say the word. Linguistics. Thank you. Studies, and he couldn't either. But what was funny about it was the night that I was listening to it over and over and over, I accidentally, and I don't believe I think everything happens for a reason, okay? I believe this. I accidentally hit the reverse button, and it played it in reverse, and bam, there it was.
Wow.
Really?
That's fantastic.
it validated a part of that investigation.
Beautiful.
Very cool. Very cool.
To me, I'm like, that's my golden fleece, man. That's right there.
See, and that's another example of everything learning. You're always learning.
You have to. You've got to keep. I tell people, it's like, stop looking like this. Look like this. because you're missing so much. Even if it doesn't make sense, do it anyways.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
it takes is one anomaly. It only takes one thing different. I mean, think about the way all the products that we have today, some of these things were done from accidents. They were created by accident, like some of the viruses and some of the antidotes and some of the, you know what I'm saying? I can't believe I said viruses because of COVID-19. What a dumbass. But anyways, it happened for a reason. Anyways, there's just so many things that are made by accident or we stumbled upon.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't that work in a field that's so open and still new? We're just scratching the surface of this right now.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So you have to do you got to look at everything. Do your experiments, do anything you want to do. Don't hinder anybody else. Just keep to yourself, do your own thing because you may come up with something that nobody else has.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
important.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
answer this question real quick from a friend of mine from California. Yes, I do use them. I do believe in them. Not a lot of people do.
What? I missed it. You
The
put that up
Ouija
awfully
board.
quick and took it back down.
I know. The Ouija board. I actually build them. Here's one that I built for somebody in the haunted happy hour. That will be in there, but
Yay.
I build
Aw.
them. This is for Cheryl. I put candles in here as far as a nice note. But yes, I do use them, and I use my own windows. My own planchette. I use a shot glass, and I do use them. But that's my own personal use of Ouija boards. So everyone has their own opinion. Stormbringer, I do believe they work. However, though, I'm just one person in the world. Indeed.
Believe me, there's a lot of people like you that believe it.
Personally, we don't. I think that when you bring that into some of our investigations, not so much that I believe that they're demonic or negative or anything, but they have that connotation behind them. So we just don't use them for that purpose, and it's just one of those tools that we've never really used.
That's okay.
Well, the whole thing behind it too is why would you bring something that has a negative connotation to it into a situation? And you don't want to do that because somebody else might be uncomfortable, and that's just going to create more negativity in the area, which you don't need.
Exactly.
So I just use whatever tools that you think are that suit you, that fit you. I mean, go ahead. I'll shut up.
Those, no, you're good. Those boards alone, like with the negativity and stuff like that, like those boards alone, you got it.
I have 9. I have 9 boards.
Oh, see, you get it. But when you use them, you got to know what you're doing. You got to ask the question.
I don't use them.
Negative.
They were given to me, and I threw them in my closet.
Oh, I'm stealing.
I just think they're pretty.
I think they're beautiful. Yeah, there's
Some of them are.
absolutely. Yeah,
Some of them are.
absolutely. But for us, it's just one of those things that we've never used.
I had one given to me that was 160 years old.
Wow.
150 years old. Handmade. And when I brought it home, the cat got on top of it, sat on it, and would not move. So to me, wrapped it in black and threw it in the closet.
I want to buy that one.
I don't think so. You ain't got enough money.
Like Kenny Bill's doll I bought that night. I'm buying that some bitch.
No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Teddy does not. Look at my walls. I have Godzilla stuff. I don't part with anything. So,
my friends, we have 4 minutes here.
Well, I just wanted to say it was nice to meet you, Christy. Genevieve,
nice
as also you beautiful person, you old soul, you. I love you. I always enjoy seeing you.
Same here.
And Dom, you're fired. What?
Oh, fuck, I knew it. That's the first F word I said all night because he.
It's his goal every night.
Are you in the green room or what?
Am I what?
You gonna jump in the green room afterwards?
I don't know. I hurt myself earlier today. And I'm in a lot of pain. Have you guys ever sneezed so hard you pulled something?
Yes.
I mean, it's like my rib or something. I mean, it is painful.
Oh.
So I'm not, as long as I'm sitting still, I'm okay. Cindy tried to make me laugh earlier and it killed me.
Look, my mom agrees with you. Yet again, fired. Come on, this is horse shit.
Love you, Ma. I'd love to fire your son so I can always hire him back. It's no big deal. Hire. What does it matter?
It's like your whole
Every
little
time I
keychain.
fire him, I bring him back for less pay. Oh, wait a minute. It's still 0.
I can't wait.
All right, but I'm gonna go. But Christy, I get a hold of me, get my information or whatever from Dom, and or an email, and you know what? I'll hit you on your website because I did write it
Sounds
down.
great. Awesome.
And I'll get you on the show. We'll have some
Thanks,
fun.
Ted.
Cindy will love you. Cindy will love
Looking
you.
forward to it. Thank you.
All right, bye guys. Have a good
Feel
night.
better.
Ted, I'll
All
send
right.
you a hit to the green room on the other one I'm going to do, all right?
What the hell? You be
All right.
fired twice in one night?
Oh, well. All right, bye. Well, my friend,
goodness.
all right, so we've come to the end of this. Christy, you've been an absolute pleasure on Real Talk with Dom, WLFE-DB Radio with Genevieve and I. This has been a pleasure for me. Genevieve, I thank you.
Absolutely. This is wonderful.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the support. And again, everybody who watched and has commented, thank you so much for sticking with us tonight.
For sure. And the like I told Genevieve before in a certain chat, the road is far. And you're going to be on a lot of different shows now, it seems. So
we all want your time.
I look forward to it. Yeah, Genevieve, I'm excited to speak with you as well. So yes, we have to get our contact information.
Yeah. We'll get there. Christy, goodbye, my friend. And we're going
to do lunch. Gotta do lunch, Dom.
Lunch. I'll see you later.
Good night, all.
Good night. It's so nice to meet you.
Indeed. Soul Sisters Paranormal, guys. Don't forget to check it out. YouTube, everywhere. Goodbye, my friend.
Thank you all.
Good night.
All right.
Wait, before you say good night and stuff like that, thank you so much for introducing me to her. She is awesome.
She's amazing, and she's in the back chat, which, we're going to go in the green room in moments. We're going to bring in some friends, Tom Nally, Psychic Cindy, and stuff like that, and all kind of hang out. But Genevieve, you know how we do this.
Yep.
Where are you going to be tomorrow night?
I am going to be on WLFE-DB.com at 7 p.m. Eastern in the Creepy Parlor.
Indeed.
Hosting a really fun haunted happy hour tomorrow.
You guys are going to have a good time. Gonna be in the comments cheering you guys on, and then maybe I'll see you guys at some point.
You're free to join us anytime you want.
You know I'll be there always, fam. Real Talk with Dom Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. WLFE-DB Radio. And then Genevieve, what do we got here? We're on TV now. What do we got here with WLFE-DB?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Is it Stream TV?
I think it's Stream. Yeah, I know it's Stream for sure. You could also find both of us on other platforms. On Friday nights, Dom and Tom's World, Psychomantium 13, Psychobody DC, and then Roots Bleed Red for sure. Check us out there. Genevieve, you could find Genevieve there as well too.
Sinister Sisters.
Yep, Sinister Sisters. We're all just a bunch of entertainers, and then we're here for all of you as well, because we're just here having a good time. And then with all platforms, check us all out, because if you don't like us, there's many people that you could watch on all the venues of shows.
A lot of variety.
A lot of variety, and that's what's up. Cindy's right there, and there's Cindy right there. Let's say it real quick. Strim. Yes. And I'll see you in moments, Cindy. I'm going to send you a link. But at this time, I'm going to say, Real Talk with Dom. Hey, Genevieve.
Hey, Dom.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm going to go over to the brand. This is what's funny, because we're going to do an overlay. Bada bing. And then we'll go to outro, and I'll see everyone later.
Thank you for joining Real Talk with Dom. You can catch us every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to follow, like, and share on Facebook. Like and follow us on Facebook at WLFE-DB Radio.